All right, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Brian Neufeld, and I'm moderating today's webinar. So welcome to this presentation on boosting efficiency and profitability. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping rules real quick. First is we have quite a few people in this session, and so everybody is muted. We won't unmute because that just gets a little bit messy with all the sound. However, we do want you to be participating in the session, and so if you do have questions, there is the question interface on your screen. Please use that and punch in your questions anytime throughout the webinar. You don't need to wait till the end. We may answer them as they come in, or depending on the question, or we will have a Q&A session at the end to address any of those questions. We do have two presenters today. First presenter that's going to kick things off is going to be Mark Hamlin. He's a solution advisor with InsightWorks, tons of experience in Business Central. And then we also have Rob Schlatzer from Cavallo, who's the lead project manager there, who is going to talk a lot about measuring, monitoring profitability within an organization as it relates to Business Central. So we are aiming to have this wrapped up before the top of the next hour. So the presentation should be about 45 minutes long, and then we'll get into Q&A. So at this point, I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Mark Hamlin to get things going. Mark.
Thanks very much, Brian. Yeah, and so the plan today is just to run through a little bit about InsightWorks. You may already know who we are and everything, but we'll go through that and then do a little walkthrough of the applications. But the goal today is really to talk about shop floor to top floor type usage within Business Central. So we're going to focus really on the operations side, and then when we get into Cavallo, they're going to focus on how do you measure whether those operational activities actually had an impact on your bottom line, right? So there's efficiencies to be had, on the shop floor, and with some of the solutions that we provide, and then how do we measure whether that had an impact, and that's where Cavallo will come in and share their solutions there. So very briefly about InsightWorks, we've been around for about 10 years now. We work mostly through reseller partners. So if you have questions about pricing or any of the applications here, you can contact your partner if they're one of our resellers, or I'll give you some contact info at the end you can use to get a hold of us. Now, there's a bunch of stats on here, not necessarily all that important, though. This guy up at the top here, the free apps and add-ons that we have available, is kind of nice, because if you're talking about improving profitability, one way to do that is to not pay for your software. So we have a whole bunch of applications there that we do give away for free. And some of the key ones are on this slide here. So these guys in green are more sort of the technical side of things that help you, implement the software and, generate the reports and things like that you need. These ones in blue are the ones that the end users are going to want to use and enjoy. And again, they're all completely free. You can install them from AppSource, and don't even have to tell us you're using them. You just plug them in and away you go. And some of them are things like this graphical scheduler, allows you to drag and drop production orders or assembly orders or whatever you want to put on that graphical scheduler to view visually, and also to potentially drag and drop to run your schedules. We've got some basic document management here that'll store documents in SharePoint to give you all the alerts and revision history and all those sorts of things, which is kind of handy to have. And then these last two are going to be a couple that will sort of cover a little more detail as we go through the demo. But WMS Express, if you need to do barcoding within Business Central, that's probably all you'll ever need. So 70% or more of the people that need to do just barcoding within Business Central will use WMS Express, because it does sort of the four key functions within the warehouse. So receiving, picking or shipping, inventory counts, and bin movements are all handled by WMS Express. So if you're already using Business Central, or you plan on it, and you need to track your inventory with barcodes for any of those functions, you can plug this in and you're up and running very quickly, and it doesn't cost you anything. similarly, once I've picked everything out of the warehouse and everything, we've got a free solution for shipping. So if you're doing domestic parcel shipping, so from any country, within any country, domestic parcel shipping, you can use this to get your shipping labels, to get your shipping rates, to get the tracking information, all that kind of stuff directly within Business Central without having to use external shipping software or anything else. And on top of that, if you don't have accounts for some of the carriers, like maybe you don't have a UPS account or a FedEx account or something like that, you'll get discounted shipping rates on a number of carriers by using OrderShip Express. So not only is the shipping software free, you're also getting cheaper shipping through it, which of course helps make you money, because now instead of having to pay the published rate for shipping, you get a discounted rate. You can mark that up and you can make some money on your shipping as well, and it doesn't cost you anything. All right. Now, what we're really going to focus on today, though, are sort of the where you can get the efficiencies out of some of these products within Business Central, beyond just not having to pay for the software. And one of the things I want to touch on was really data management within Business Central. That's why you buy Business Central, is really to manage the data. You're actually buying it to get data out of the system, right? You want to do things like what Cavallo is going to show us, where you want to do analysis and figure out, how your operation is running and everything like that. Putting that data into Business Central is sort of the, unfortunate side effect or unfortunate requirement of being able to analyze that data. So what we really need to do is make sure we have, timely and accurate, I use that a lot, timely and accurate information coming into the system. And we need to simplify how we get that information into the system, right? Because as it says, we're all dealing with that electronic data, and it can be that competitive advantage. You can see, are my margins good? Are my shipping times accurate? And all of those sorts of things. But we need to get that data in the system. So what we're going to focus on a little bit today in the demo is that automated data collection, right? Being able to make the task of getting that data into Business Central much simpler, and to improve the accuracy of it, right? Because if, for example, if I'm using barcoding, as we talked about with WMS Express, if I'm scanning that item, I physically verify that that's the item I'm shipping. And I'm not going to misship it, like ship the wrong brown box because it was sitting beside the brown box I was supposed to ship, and have to pay for return shipping, have an unhappy customer, all those sorts of things. I get that, accuracy, I get that physical verification, I get that real-time information. I know what's happening within my facility. And that's one big way we can boost that efficiency and that profitability within the environment. Now, what we do to sort of automate that data collection is using some of our applications. So what I've got here is, I'm going to talk a little bit about the manufacturing side, because I wanted to show off some of our manufacturing stuff. But really, manufacturing and distribution, we have a number of applications within Business Central you can use to improve that efficiency. So, the first one is some planning where we can, do more efficient planning. So as we're going out for purchasing and things like that, there's a lot of mechanisms within the purchase planning from a distribution perspective to ensure that you're doing, efficient purchasing, that, if you've got a, seasonal discount that you can use against manufacturers, that you're maximizing that, all of those sorts of things for, forecasting and purchasing and things like that. And then we go out into scheduling. We're not going to talk about this too much now, but again, an efficient schedule using our advanced planning and scheduling solution impacts every part of your business. So if you're a manufacturer, you really need to look at this, because it's going to impact your labor, your asset utilization, your on-time delivery, your WIP, your inventory values. All of those sorts of things are handled if you have a good schedule. So if you're into manufacturing, you need to look at that guy. And then we're going to send it out to the shop floor after we've scheduled it. And the shop floor insight we'll look at a little later, where again, we've got that real-time automated data collection where the personnel, working at that moment in time can record what's happening. So you've got that real-time information, and you've got that accurate information about what's happening in your shop floor. Like, I expected it to take an hour, and I've set my pricing based on that expectation, but it's consistently taking me an hour and a half. Well, I'm not making as much money as I could, right? And then the Cavallo Profit Analytics is going to show you that, yeah, you're not making enough money on that product, and shop floor is what's telling you where those costs are coming from. All right, and then of course, once we've manufactured it, so for a lot of you are not doing manufacturing, or more distribution type environments, again, we have our Warehouse Insight or WMS Express. So WMS Express is the free product. Warehouse Insight is the more advanced tool you can use to do anything you want in your warehouse. Extend it to do all sorts of custom stuff if you like, really whatever you want to do with a barcode scanner or mobile device within your facility, that's Warehouse Insight. And then finally out here, Dynamic Ship, where again, we want to ensure that you're doing accurate shipping. We're going to do some validations there to ensure that you're shipping the right product and things like that. And just as importantly, we have mechanisms for choosing the best value carrier to use. So the cheapest or the fastest delivery, things like that improve customer satisfaction, which is a bit subjective, but does improve profitability over the long term. And also just sort of the objective stuff, like, yes, I'm using the cheapest carrier because I can compare all my rates from all the different carriers, and I'm selecting the one that's either going to cost me the least amount or make me the most amount of money as far as rebilling that shipping charge to the customer. Okay? And then again, the analysis tools for determining am I making or losing money on my shipping, all of those sorts of things as well. All right, so that's a little bit about some of the solutions we have. And as I said, we're going to cover off 2 or 3 of these as we jump into the demo. So let me jump into that right away. So the first thing I'm going to do is, we're going to jump in, and we're going to say we're a manufacturing environment, but it doesn't really matter if we're manufacturing or distribution. What we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to execute some warehouse activities here and see what that looks like. And to do that, I'm going to use this handheld device that you sort of see the screen of on my screen here. And what that looks like, as soon as the webcam fires up, is this guy right here. So this is the device that I'm going into landscape mode, of course. This is the guy that I have here in my hand. And this is, a fairly common style warehouse device. I'm just going to get it to focus there. But that's a fairly common warehouse style device that we can use to scan product and everything else. There's tons of different form factors. You can use phone style devices with scanners in them, tablets, whatever you like. But, employees using this are going to get much more enhanced efficiency because everything is now electronic. They don't have to use paper. They don't have to hand it in. Nobody has to retype anything. There's going to be no mistakes. If I have to scan serial numbers or lot numbers, I can track that without making mistakes. So what you see on the screen are all the applications that are available on the system that tie back into Business Central. And you can create your own custom applications, or like this fixed asset count is another one of our free applications. You just go to our add-on catalog within Business Central, click a button, and you can now do fixed asset counting, either on paper or with a handheld device. We've got a whole bunch of those types of things. But again, you can plug in your own applications. You can plug in pre-built applications. We've got all sorts of things like that. But what we're going to do is focus today a little bit on the picking aspect. Because again, we're in manufacturing. We need to build some product. And to build that product, we need to go and pick the components for it. So we're going to go into the picking side of things here. We're going to open it up, and it's going to give me a list of all the pick documents in my environment. Now, I can pick for production, I can pick for shipping, I can pick for transfers, I can do all sorts of things like that from the device. In this case, we're going to open up pick number 4 here. I just tap the screen, but you can use the physical keypad and all that. And I'm going to open up that pick, and now we're going to go through and start executing this pick. And now this pick has already been started. You can see I've set up some color rules where we've already picked some of these items, and this one is a partial pick and things like that. But what it's showing me is where I'm supposed to go to pick it, what I'm supposed to pick, and the quantity available that I need. And right there, immediately, we have some improvements in our efficiencies, because you could put all of this on paper and everything else, but it doesn't give me the ability to sort of drill down, see more information, maybe change the sorting, all sorts of things like that we can do on the screen, or show additional information. So let me just go back into that landscape mode. So as an example, if I go into landscape mode, I can, in my environment, I've set up this fact box, and the fact box is just configuration that shows me additional information. So I've got a picture of that item. I can, tap on it to make it full screen. I can have pick instructions down here, customer shipping instructions, whatever I want to put on these screens. And so I've got a lot more information I can present to the employees so that they can do their job more efficiently. Even on this, you know, the second line here where, you know, it says I've got a partial pick, and these color rules, you can set whatever you like. I just set that up to make it red and highlight it if I've got a partial pick. But let's say I went to that, you know, it tells me down at the bottom I've picked one. Maybe I couldn't find these other 9. Well, what do I do about that? In my case, I can just hit a hotkey on my physical keypad. It drills down and shows me all the details about that particular product, like where else I can find that in the environment. And can I drill down and see recent transactions? Like maybe there's only, you know, a few left in that bin because somebody picked a case of them instead of, you know, a single piece of them, and I can hunt them down and get my stuff back. You know, I can reprint labels. I can do all sorts of things right from this device. So instead of having a piece of paper out there writing stuff down, and then when there's a problem running back to the office to look it up on a terminal or whatever, everything I need to do is right here in my hand. I've got this computer in my hand. It's not just a dumb terminal for scanning. I can do these types of things right there out in the shop floor. Now, to actually execute the pick, it's pretty simple. All I do is I go in and I tell the system which bin I'm picking from. So in my case, I've got, you know, a list of these barcodes, and this list here, by the way, is generated from our free barcode generator tool. It's our sample barcode list where I've just got a bunch of barcodes printed. And I'm using these square data matrix barcodes. Doesn't matter what the barcode format is. You can use your existing barcodes, anything else. And I'm just going to scan that bin. So it now knows where I'm picking that from. And that, again, is part of, you know, the validation process. If I now scan an item that's not supposed to come from this bin or is not in this bin, it's going to yell at me. So I'm not going to be able to pick the wrong product accidentally and take it over to shipping and have them package up the wrong product and ship the wrong product. Everything here is validated as I'm doing the work. Massive improvement in efficiencies, right? So now I've said, yes, I'm picking from that bin. The next thing I do is I scan the item that I want to pick out of that bin. So any of these items here, and let's do, well, let's do this 1920 guy. So I scan that one, and you can pick almost in any order. It optionally shows you a picture of that. Again, we've got that visual verification that I'm picking the right item. That's often used in receiving when you're doing barcoding. I scan, you know, a vendor's barcode, and it shows me a conference table there, and I've got a pair of socks or something in my hand. I know I've got a problem with that information, and I can rectify that before that problem propagates throughout the warehouse and causes me additional, you know, effort and pain. At any rate, here I'm just going to enter, yes, I've picked the total quantity of 8. It's updated Business Central, and I've picked that product, and I'm off to the races. So I validate I've got the right product. I know it's being picked. It's ready to be shipped after this pick is executed, and I'm good to go. And another one that's important, especially if you're doing lot numbers or serial numbers, is the fact that we can read those lot numbers, serial numbers, expiration dates, units of measure, all of that out of a barcode. So now, instead of me on a piece of paper having to write down a lot number or things like that, I can actually record that with a simple barcode scan. And if you're worried about expiration dates and you want to pick specific lot numbers based on the expiration dates, we can validate that you're picking the appropriate lot number that you were told to pick. Okay. Anyway, that's really all there is to it. I scan, you know, the bin, I scan the item, I optionally enter the quantity or just hit OK as I did on these guys, and we've picked that product, and we're now ready to ship it out the door. Okay. Well, actually, in this case, we're going to pretend that this pick was for production. So now I'm going to go into the production area, and I can do consumption and things like that on the handheld device. So if I am in a production environment, I can come in and execute all my production order or assembly order activities right from the handheld. But we're going to switch gears a little. We're going to go into sort of the manufacturing environment where now, you know, the warehouse employee, you know, the material handler has picked all the product, they've dropped it off at my station, and now I'm going to record the work that I'm actually doing on the shop floor. So for that, we're going to go in and we're going to, let's close this out, and we're going to go into something called Shop Floor Insight. And Shop Floor Insight has a number of different user interfaces you can use. You can run it on a tablet, on a phone, whatever, or on a fixed terminal out in the shop floor. And the idea behind this is it gives us the ability now to capture the labor time that we're spending on production orders. You could actually also do this for picks and receipts and shipments and all those sorts of things. Anytime we do something on that handheld device I was just working on, we log, the time the employee spent doing that work. We can calculate how long it takes them to do it. We can actually schedule picks. We can do all sorts of things based on, the time people spend doing those picks. In this case, though, we're going to focus on the production activities. So as an employee, I'm going to walk up to my station here. If I didn't have a phone or a tablet or a handheld device in my hand, I'm going to walk up to my station here. I'm going to identify myself because lots of people can share the station. And it shows me my time card for the day. I haven't done anything yet today. So the first thing I do is I scan a barcode to indicate what I'm going to be working on. You can also, manually select from a list. If I come in here, I could have just come in and selected the activity that I'm working on. But in my case, what I want to do is I just want to scan a barcode because it's quick and easy to indicate exactly what I'm going to be working on. So one barcode, this is what I'm working on. And we're now tracking the labor time associated with that activity. And on top of that, we're giving them all sorts of information they can use to improve, how they do that work. Like instead of having to print out all sorts of paperwork, I can look at the assembly diagrams and all sorts of things here, or look at the work instructions. I can record my material usage and my output right from here. I've got quality inspections. I've got all sorts of things that you could potentially use to improve the lives of your shop floor employees because they got all the information they need to do their jobs at their fingertips right here with a single barcode scan. Right, and one of the key things about this is, again, improving your efficiencies. If I come in here and I record, an hour of time on this, and we expect that to take half an hour, it becomes pretty obvious that, I'm not going to make money, or I'm going to make less money on this item that I'm trying to manufacture because I'm taking longer to do it. So now we can do some analysis and figure out, yes, we need to adjust our pricing or adjust our workflows or whatever to address that. And almost as importantly as that, when we're talking about efficiencies and things, let's say I'm doing this work, I'm having to rework it because it wasn't done right the first time. I can actually track that rework time independently. And that's very important because what I did there was I just scanned a barcode to flag it as rework, and I'm blaming the machine shop in this case for messing something up. Rework is very expensive in a manufacturing context, right? If it takes me an hour to do this rework, that's costing me 3 or 4 hours of actual time of cost on this product that could have been avoided, and that's my margin gone potentially, right? So that hour of rework time plus the hour it took me to do it the first time, plus the lost hour of time I could have been doing something more productive, plus the QC time and everything else that comes into play. Rework is very expensive. To be able to record it and track it like this is very nice and very simple. And people want to do it. They don't want to get blamed for taking too long to do something. They want to go out and blame somebody else for the work that they're doing, right? So blaming sales. You can also track time against any other activities if you like. So for example, if I want to track non-productive time, I can do that as well. And this again helps us understand where that time is going within the facility. Now again, I'm focusing here mostly on the manufacturing side. You can do this on the warehouse side as well if you want, right? So no issues there. All right, so I've got, I've picked the product, I've come in here, I've recorded my time, I've maybe indicated that it's complete, like I've output it, and now it's ready to ship. So the last step on this little process here is actually getting this product out the door. So for that, we're going to jump back into Business Central. And by the way, when I do that output, whether it's from the shop floor insight that I just showed you, or from the handheld devices or whatever, that might go into the warehouse, and then later on I'll pick that product and bring it over to shipping, just the way I picked it on the handheld device. But once we've got that product picked, one of the more typical processes in warehouses is a picker will go out, they'll pick the product, they'll drop it off at a packaging station, somebody will pack it up and get it out the door. Now that picker and packer might be the same person, but the process is the same. I go out to the shelving, I grab the product, I bring it over, I package it, and I get it out the door. So to facilitate that, what we have is dynamic ship. Now earlier I mentioned Order Ship Express. I'll show that as well potentially, because it's a simpler tool to use. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the full dynamic ship that gives you a lot of capabilities for understanding what's going on. So this screen here, this package worksheet, if you're running, World Ship or Ship Manager or any third party or external shipping software, that all goes away. This is the screen that most of the people doing packaging and shipping are going to live in. And the way it works here is, I've got barcodes. We love barcodes. I've got barcodes here that I'm going to scan to execute commands. So really anything that you see on the menu here, like reading the weight from a scale or printing, any of that stuff, I can just have a little barcode that I scan here with a little USB barcode scanner to execute that command instead of hunting around on the menu or anything like that. So when we're doing the packaging, you don't really have to touch the mouse and the keyboard at all on this. At any rate, we've gone and we've picked the product, we brought it over to the packaging station, dropped it off, and now I need to package this order up. So the first thing I do is I scan, the order number on the pick ticket. It loads up the order, says I need to package these items. Okay, great. I look at this as the packager and I say I'm going to use, my standard box size. So I scan a barcode that's for this box size. It creates a 20 by 12 by 8 box. This could have been a pallet with a starting weight of 10 pounds or whatever you like there. We can also integrate with dimensioners. If you just pack this all up and then get the dimensions and the weight in one step after I've done the packaging, we can do that as well. But I've got this box here, and now I need to start packing my items. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the hardest possible way to do this. And that mechanism is I'm going to scan these barcodes to indicate what I'm packaging. Okay? And you don't have to do that. I could come in here, I could use the mouse and the keyboard, and I can pack these items in here. Or there's another mode where I can just say, hey, I'm shipping one box, it's 10 pounds, give me a label, and that works fine. But by scanning these items here, what I'm doing is I'm going to, sort of validate that I'm packaging the right items. And that goes back to that physical verification. I can't ship the wrong item if I'm scanning these items as I'm packaging, right? The worst case scenario when we're doing shipping is I'm shipping the wrong items to the customer. Because then I got to pay for return shipping. I got to, make the customer happy in maybe some other ways. I got to pay, the shipping for the right product to go out the door, all of those sorts of things. We don't want that, right? We want to, reduce those costs. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scan one of those items. And when I do that, it packages it into that package, starts calculating the weight. Again, we can read the weight from a scale and everything else. And it packs one. So the way I've got it set up is every time I scan an item, it packages a quantity of one, and away I go. So I'm going to scan that item again, and maybe I'll scan this item. And let's pretend that box is full. We've filled it up. So I'm going to start the next box, and I'm going to scan, the remaining items into that next box. So, really from a physical process perspective, I'm picking up an item in my left hand, beeping it with my right hand, dropping it in the box, and I'm done. So even though I said it's the hardest way possible to do it, this is very simple. Now, everything's packed up. So the next thing I need to do, and again, I could change the weights, read the weights. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my shipping label. And when I do that, what it's going to do, because I didn't have a carrier pre-selected, it's going to allow me to select a carrier. Now, this is typically unusual in the warehouse. Normally, you'll select the carrier when the sales order is entered. And this screen that you see here, we can get at the sales order level before it goes to the warehouse and all that sort of thing. But what it's showing me here is all the different carriers I have available for the shipment and what I'm going to pay for that shipping on the ship. This price here is what we're charging the customer. They get free shipping on everything because, we've got rules set up and this order happens to be over $1,000, so they get free shipping on it. But you can see here all the different rates. I can pick the best rate or, the thing that gives me the most profit or whatever I like from this list and hit OK, and away I go. Now, again, normally this is done at the sales order level, but if I want to do it at the warehouse level, I can, or I can set it up to always just use the most cost-effective shipping method possible, and it'll automatically select that without me having to do anything else. And then it just generates my shipping labels, and I slap them on the box and away to go. So really does streamline the shipping process, even though I did this the hardest way possible. As I said, I validated all my items, so I can't possibly ship the wrong item. I've got the shipping label automatically. I've charged the customer the shipping amount. That's automatically gone on the sales order. I have the tracking information. And I've also sent the customer an email with the tracking information and potentially a PDF copy of the invoice or whatever you want to add to that. And that is all automated. So now you're saving a bunch of labor time versus having to give packing slips to accounting for invoicing and blah, blah, blah. It's all just done automatically, saves you a ton of time, and you're always going to make sure you get the most cost-effective rates and things like that possible. All right, so that's a little bit on some of the tools that you can use. I said I'd show you Ordership Express, but I'm going to leave that. If you have any questions about any of these solutions, you can go to the website, and there's videos on all of these guys that go into a lot more detail. But what I want to do now is pass this over to Rob to go through a little bit on what Cavallo can do. Now that we've shipped those orders and things like that, how we can actually go in and determine, was that, what we did today, was that profitable? Okay. So I'm just passing that over to Rob. Rob, it's all yours.
Great, thanks so much, Mark. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. Excuse me 1 second while I get the right screen to share. There we are. Wonderful. So thanks so much for joining everybody today. My name is Rob Schlotzer. I am one of the lead product managers here at Cavallo. What we'll do for the remaining time in this webinar today is continue that story that Mark outlined with respects to creating operational efficiencies for your business. What we'll cover in the next few minutes here is I'll just introduce Cavallo for those that are unfamiliar with us, and we'll dive into a specific solution called Profit Analytics, which is designed from the ground up specifically for Business Central and other supporting ERPs, but largely Business Central, to surface insights and other very valuable, pertinent pieces of information related to your invoices, customers, and overall margin performance. So a quick overview of Cavallo for those who are unfamiliar. We have been around for 20 plus years now, originating many years ago in the GP space. For those who recall our SalesPad solutions, still very strong presence in the GP space, but for today we'll focus on Business Central and the value that we're creating for our customers there. Overall, it is in the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars created over the years. Cavallo is the market leader when it comes to what we describe as the science of profit. And so to introduce that, I'll talk a little bit about our overall solution offering for Business Central. We have 3 distinct products for Business Central. To give you guys an overview here, one of our solutions is Profit Scan. This is offered actually as a free extension on the marketplace today. Its primary purpose is to enable your organization to eliminate any margin eroding issues with open quotes and orders in real time. It's a very powerful solution, layers directly in the Business Central interface, and allows your team to define the margins, percents, and goals for specific quotes and orders, catch those in real time, and create solutions. A complementary solution, also very specific to Business Central, is a solution called Mission Control. Mission Control's primary focus is to be a workflow, automation, and business rule management suite. This solution in particular partners very well with Business Central, enabling organizations to define and set varying degrees of business rules, workflow automations. So if you're going through those steps that Mark defined for pick, pack, and ship, very much in a controlled and regulated manner. So the primary focus, again, Mission Control, workflow automation, and business rules. What we'll be touching on today is one of Cavallo's newest solutions called Profit Analytics. Its primary focus is on surfacing those margin issues or margin opportunities for your business, pulling data directly from Business Central. So quick overview, the way that Profit Analytics functions today is it connects directly to Business Central, extracts relevant data from the ERP, populates it, organizes it in a very robust manner specific to deep statistics and analytic purposes. And we're capable of handling millions of records at a time. So depending upon the scale and size of your organization, very capable of growing with that. And some of the things that we're going to touch on today are largely the ability for Profit Analytics to enable users across your organization, whether they're executives asking for revenue and margin summary information, whether they're looking for deeper analytics into those margin opportunities for your business. Profit Analytics surfaces this information in a variety of ways and a variety of KPIs. So without further ado, let's jump into a demo of the application. And I'll start with a quick overview of what you're seeing on the screen. This is the homepage dashboard for Profit Analytics. Its purpose is designed to surface all of the relevant underpinning modules and widgets for your specific Business Central environment and present them in user intuitive ways. Profit Analytics is a web application for those that are following along here with me. So any major browser, it is capable of being managed through IT administration as far as granting permissions to varying degrees. We'll cover that in more detail further on. But to orient you all a little bit further, so we're here at the home page. You see a variety of what we call widgets. And the widgets are in tune with a subsequent series of modules on the left-hand navigation that are intended to take users on specific journeys, whether they're looking at margin variance, sales analysis, cost of goods sold, etc. For today, what I'd like to showcase is just some very high-level capabilities of Profit Analytics, kind of telling a story. And with this specific demo environment, what we're looking at is a distributor specifically that has experienced a period of decline with their sales. And the way we can determine this very quickly is with this margin summary widget, where we aggregate the sales, cost of goods sold, and gross margin for all orders that have flown through Business Central. With that, we get a number of comparison periods. This is something that's very unique to Cavallo in Profit Analytics, is in this upper right-hand side, we have the ability to define the time series that we are looking at, whether it be yesterday, week to date, trailing 3 months. The decision is up to the user to determine what time series they're looking at, as well as the comparative period. It's all about performance measurement. So sticking with the story, we have a customer on Profit Analytics that is experiencing a decline of 531.4. We can quickly analyze the reasoning behind that attrition through a tool called margin variance analysis. This is very unique to Cavallo, and the overview widget here describes some of the various reasoning behind that decline. In this case, we have volume, unit price, unit cost, and returns. We can see at a glance the gross losses for the period, the gross gains for the period, as well as the net impact. And this is great summary level information, but more frequently, what we've heard from our users is they want to explore and drill into why specifically that net impact of 531 happened. And Profit Analytics is very capable of helping break down this information in very consumable ways. So what we're looking at here is the margin variance analysis details screen. It provides us with the net impact, gross loss, gross gain, as well as a further breakdown by those measures I described earlier in terms of volume, price, cost, etc. Additionally, these overall posted invoices can be broken out by customer, item, or even sales rep. So in this case, we'll take a look at Miss Kimberly Black here. We'll be able to drill in very quickly and see that, Kimberly had a net impact that's not so great, right? Why was that the case? Well, it's because she had one specific customer purchasing the Amethyst cotton pet carrier with a very large impact to her overall performance. And so you may ask yourself, okay, that's one key example. What can I do about this? Well, one of the unique features of Profit Analytics are these insights. So behind the scenes, layered in our application is robust AI-driven technology that surfaces recommendations and insights in terms of why this specific event happened and how to best appropriately rectify the situation. So just to showcase some additional functionality briefly on this screen, you'll find this capability throughout Profit Analytics. You can quickly layer in innumerable measures and filters, enabling your end users to quickly slice and dice the information presented on the screen and in other modules within the application very quickly. Let's explore some of these other modules briefly. One of the biggest, I guess, measures that we hear from our customers is they just want to see a basic sales trend analysis. Okay, great, excellent. Well, with the power of Profit Analytics, you can easily slice, dice, display this information very graphically for your users. You can share this view with other members of the organization. As Profit Analytics is licensed on a site basis, there are innumerable user accounts that can access this data. And we get some additional summary type information in terms of this specific breakdown of sales, sales by customer, sales by item, and even sales by customer class and other fields present within Business Central. Some additional functionality that's unique to Cavallo and Profit Analytics is pulling in custom fields. So if your organization has enabled custom fields within Business Central and are looking to segment and slice your data by something very specific, let's say we'll just use customer class, we can break it down by representative, for example. You have the ability to look at your data in unique and innovative ways to determine where the margin gain opportunities are, and if there are any margin loss opportunities, how to best appropriately address them quickly in a timely way. So another flow I want to introduce you all to is the margin trend. Here we're looking at month to date. Let me back this out to the trailing 12 months. It's a bit more representative of how most of our users approach this data. So in this line graph, you'll have the ability to determine very quickly at a glance that negative 531 on an annualized basis, where specifically from a seasonality and trend perspective, your margin gains were and margin losses were in comparison to the prior period. In addition, we break this down by customer, which is a very powerful tool and is enabling your organization to quickly discern those margin opportunities for customers that may not purchase as frequently, or their purchasing propensity has changed, their frequency has changed, or their item mix has changed significantly since you brought them on as a customer. So speaking of customers, the last piece that I'll cover today in the time that we have is our customers module. This is a very powerful capability within Profit Analytics. There are 3 modules on this specific screen today. The first is customers over time, which is a visualization of your starting point in terms of your overall customer count and your end customer count. And in between, Profit Analytics calculates the degree of whether these customers are new to your organization, reactivated, or churned. In this specific customer's case, we can drill into a segment of reactivated and quickly identify those specific customers that made a purchase, were dormant, and then were reactivated. We've heard from our customers that they leverage this tool and others within Profit Analytics to very quickly export a list of these customers or even the churned customers, enabling their sales organizations or their marketing organizations to drive campaigns that have yielded far better results for their organization than in years prior. Backing up a step to the customers page, we also surface the top gainers and decliners for the given time period. You can break this down by sales dollars, margin dollars, and margin percent. A common theme in Profit Analytics is determining the value of that customer based upon their margin and margin opportunities. Drilling in to this specific customer, we'll look at Davis Burke and Grimes, our largest growth customer for the period. We'll also see that we support deep linking back into the source ERP. So Profit Analytics allows your users to quickly tell the story with their data, building upon all of the efficiencies and operational pieces from solutions such as InsightWorks, and then tell the story with Profit Analytics. Are they a valuable customer? How valuable are they? Are there items that we could pair, cross and upsell to this specific customer? What are the current themes of my top performing customers? And how do I move my middle segment of my business, my middle performing customers, to become top performers? Profit Analytics can enable your business to really dig deep into the data, surface insights quickly for those users that need that type of information, and enable the more power user type individuals to drill into the details, because the details really do matter, where the margin opportunity can be percents on percents. That's how this business flows. But with Profit Analytics, you can really identify those segments and make significant changes for your organization. With that, we have about 10 minutes left in this webinar. I will turn things back over to Mark and go from there.
Excellent. Thanks very much. So yes, we do have time for Q&A. There are a few questions in the question box. I think Brian will ask those. And if you have any additional, feel free to enter them in the question box as well. Brian, do we have some questions we can go through?
We do. We've got a few here. So thanks very much, both Mark and Rob, for your presentations. It was good and informative. So let's just get to the Q&A. Like Mark mentioned, if you do have some right now and you haven't asked them, please pop them into the question interface. We'll get to them. So first one here is for you, Rob, revolving around security. Someone asking about how you take into account the security and compliance of sensitive business data when you're extracting the data from ERP.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that question. So here at Cavallo, we have industry-leading encryption and internal policies regarding our data security and access. As I mentioned previously in my brief demonstration, there's also very robust user management controls within Profit Analytics. So if you have specific individuals that need to view information within Profit Analytics, that control is in there. Versus lesser type users with varying degrees of permissions.
Excellent. Thanks. Another question for you, Rob, is revolving around implementation time. How long does it take to implement the Profit Analytics for Business Central?
Yeah, great question there as well. Other analytics vendors have slightly longer cycles than what we've experienced. We've really prioritized here at Cavallo the need for very direct integration. It's a self-service onboarding experience. Typically takes about a 1 to 2 day turnaround max in order to get the data into Profit Analytics. I do have a little caveat with that, though, that is we offer comprehensive levels of service and support for Profit Analytics, including extensive user training. As I kind of alluded to in my demonstration, there are innumerable ways within Profit Analytics to derive value. Cavallo partners with your organization to help determine what interfaces are important, what key data points matter for your organization. And we enable things like configuring your specific churn window, how you determine when a customer is lost versus another, and help ensure that the information presented in Profit Analytics is representative of your business goals.
Okay, thank you. I've got a couple. I'm going to stay with you, Rob, and then I've got a few questions for Mark, but I'll finish with you
Yeah.
first, Rob, if you don't mind. So one of the things that we find with people, taking on Business Central, many of them, may have been using QuickBooks or something similar where they've outgrown QuickBooks. It just doesn't suit their needs as they've grown as a company. They move into Business Central, but they're investing in Business Central is quite an investment, and so they want to make sure this platform lasts a long time. So someone's asking here about how you guys handle as the company grows with increased data volume and more complex reporting needs. What can you do for that?
Yeah, we hear that very frequently. The story of our customers migrating from one ERP to Business Central, making that strategic investment, and they want to ensure that the partners that they bring in will be able to support their business goals for a long time. And I'm very proud to say that Profit Analytics is designed to scale with whatever your evolving business needs are. We're very capable of handling millions upon millions of